All right, my schizo brain works in mysterious ways. So I want to get a few subjects, these particular two that I have listed here, the currency exchange versus ammo versus firearms production and other stuff, because I feel like these are important issues for the future of a balkanized U.S. So, currency exchange. One of the options, or one of the ways that the U.S. could start to falter more, is by a collapse of the U.S. dollar. That people, like I say, Russia is tossing out all their American currency, all the U.S. dollars being tossed out. China, of course, has set up their own, cryptocurrency and everything else like that. It's more of an anti-crypto, really. They want to be able to go against Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that other stuff, even though Ethereum, as far as I know, is Russian. But anyway, I thought to myself, if the U.S. dollar collapsed, people don't want to just use the barter system. I would think if the Chinese and Russians are smart, they would open up their currency a little bit and make it worth something. And I would think if the Chinese and Russians were smart, that they would set up proxies to start selling food, start selling, little consumer items and whatnot. Maybe some laptops, stuff, just basic stuff. To keep things going. Now I don't know how the competition would be between the Chinese yuan, the renminbi, or the ruble. But I think it's interesting to think about. If people had their Bitcoin and whatnot, I would imagine if they were smart that they would have a bank that would be able to turn that Bitcoin that they had, that $1 million in Bitcoin or whatever, into however much in Chinese yuan, right? Or into Russian rubles, right? I would think. Now, I'm not a currency guy. I'm not an economist or a financial guy. So I don't take this as advice, but it's something to think about. I'm like, because I would think casinos would be a great place for that. Like I say, maybe I have too much of the mind of a capitalist, but I'm like, casinos would be a great place for that. Because you think it'd be a hard way to get into, the rural parts of the South, easily. I mean, yeah, you could go through like Walmart and set up like an exchange there. But like I say, I mean, that'd probably be the better option. But it's like, you also have casinos. Like I say, imagine Oklahoma. Imagine Comanche Nation or something like that. And they cut a deal with the Chinese. They say, yeah, we're not going to take over your land. Matter of fact, you can have all of Oklahoma. But what you got to do for us, though, is be able to change out this currency, and you got to stick by the Chinese yuan or the Russian ruble, right? Whoever gets there first, right? I don't know. Maybe that's pie in the sky thinking. I'm sure that some financial person is going to hear this and start laughing their ass off, I imagine. But I don't care. It's just, that's my thinking. Secondly, this is something I've thought off and on, but I figure I'm going to put it out here. If I was a gun runner in the United States, and I was going to become one when balkanization really turned on, and groups started to be formed, are there enough firearms in this country already? That's a real question, right? But of course, it'd be all different types. You'd want to standardize. So everyone's going to have like an AR, or everyone's going to have like a whichever, weapon they choose. Maybe they choose I don't know. Maybe they choose, something like Norinco or something like that. They choose a Chinese one. Or maybe they choose an AK-74 so that they can get ammo from Russia. I don't know. But I would imagine the real question is, are there enough firearms out there to warrant production of more 3D printed guns? Because obviously in individual, little shop gunsmith shops, would that be cost effective. It's an interesting point, isn't it? At least in my eye. At least in my eye. I don't know. So the real question is, do you produce ammo, or find an efficient way to produce ammo instead of that? Because obviously, here's the thing. Here's what I see. A lot of the ammo that's out there is going to be hoarded by boomers. I do think that's going to be an issue. Is that once this country does collapse, boomers are going to be hoarding that, hoarding the Hornady rounds, hoarding that federal, hoarding that whichever boxes of ammo they have. They got whole rooms, they got whole freaking warehouses filled with ammo. All these boomer gun stores out there, I imagine, are going to close up, and they're going to start gouging the fuck out of prices. Like maybe $200, maybe $300 a box, for like 9mm or 40 cal ammo, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm really being wild here, but that's what I foresee. Boomers are going to be hoarding that ammo, and maybe they'll sell it out of their house, or maybe they'll sell it out of their their gun store, and start selling that instead. And selling that, these huge prices. They're going to have goons around them, of course, defending them. I imagine some boomers are going to be stupid, and they're going to go out there and whatnot, and someone's going to rob them. Someone's going to rob that dude, and they're going to take everything. I imagine that's what's going to occur too. But I think that's going to be an issue, right? And it's going to depend on, okay, boomers, like I said, I assume that boomers are the ones that have the majority of ammo. Not just at home, but in their, in these gun stores all across the country, right? They're going to start hoarding the fuck out of it. What then do these individuals, or these the lumpen proletariat who are going to be running guns and needing firearms for protection, and then going further, like rocket launchers and shit like that? How are they going to do that, right? Same thing with protecting. Same thing with vests. Like I said, people can talk about markets all day and say how bad they are, but guess what? Everything's a fucking market to a point. This is the U.S. This is the home of capitalism. So people are still going to have markets. So the market for vests, the market for helmets, the market for optics, the market for ammo, firearms, food, cars, gasoline, whichever, right? These are all going to be, like I say, various groups are going to control them, right? And, the warlords, or whichever you want to say, they're going to be deciding, okay, who are we going to make deals with, right? And it's going to be, there's not going to be any autarky. There's not going to be any autarky quite yet, because there's going to be places where they're going to hold a monopoly in certain areas, right? So in terms of oil and gas, like I say, you're going to have various parts. You're going to have Oklahoma, for example, where I believe world leaders go to set, organize a lot of the prices of oil, right? But then you're going to have the Permian Basin in Texas, right? So this is going to be another oil hub. I imagine these places are going to be highly protected, right? There's the same type of thing with Syria, right? What does the United States control over? They control over the areas that have oil in it, right? That's where Kurdistan is ironically located. It's always a funny thing. But anyway, and the plenty of other things you can talk about, right? Places where they produce like Tyson chicken, right? A lot of those places like Nebraska, places like that, right? That have a lot of, migrants that work there. A lot of, El Salvadorans, I imagine, and Mexicans, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not trying to be racist. I'm just trying to be honest. You're going to have these hubs, right? So, like I say, I mean, there's a lot of deep, research that people need to do. I imagine there's a lot of market research, and there's a lot of, financial research that's going to go on of, okay, where are the hubs at? Where are the hubs for oil? Where are the hubs for tires going to be at? Where are the hubs for, car is going to be at, where the hub is going to be for ammo, who produces, vests, et cetera, right? And they're all going to have this, balance between, okay, we need this right now. Okay, now we need this, right? So people can talk about revolution. People talk about getting these folks on their side and that people on their side. That's one thing. But it's also a matter of, okay, how are you going to keep, the oil production there? It's like you're not going to kill everybody. Come on now, let's be honest, right? That's kind of the blatant ML view, right? Like revolution, we're going to kill everything, and all the bourgeoisie are going to go. It's like, well, okay, they're going to be protected. So where do we go from here? And to me, it's something to think about. Like I said, I think that's it for my ranting. Something I've thought about over and over, especially about the boomers hoarding. I mentioned that a couple of times. I'm sorry, but the way my brain works, I'm just kind of schizo-autistic. That's what I'm going to call myself. Schizo-autistic. There we go. That's what I'm going to put the new hashtag as. Schizo-autistic gang. There you go. Really upset those Voshites when they come up. How dare you use ableist hashtags? Oh, shut up. Put on a new pair of panties, can you? Move on, will you? Anyway, I think that's all I have to say. I'm going to put out that other video about, self-interest or loyalty versus self-interest as well. And put that one out. I think those are the only 2 videos I'm going to produce today. I hope y'all enjoy them. And, I think that's all I got to say. See you later. Goodbye.